Hi guys again. I'd like to introduce to you John Plowman. He's my partner and has built the log house in Fort Smith. He's built log homes for over 40 years and has tons of experience, and this is his last home that he built, and there are a lot of features just in that house. So I will ask John a couple of questions here about the house and some of the technical stuff. John, can you tell me a little bit about the energy efficiency of that house?
Okay, what was considered first being first up north and make it as efficient as I possibly could for the climate. So what I did, first of all, I turned the house 90 degrees to the street as everybody has the front door looking at the street. This brings the house into a whole perspective for winter, which allows the sun to flow through the home from one end to the other with no lights on. Come summertime, with the 6 foot, 4 foot overhang on the roof, you have a very cool house. Stays very, very cool. No air conditioning needed. No any special things.
That's great. Now tell me also about you spoke earlier to me about the R value. What is that?
Okay, okay. Our value is the efficiency ratings for the efficiency of insulation. The roof is an R60 solid foam. The frame walls, which is above the log walls and for the upstairs, etc., are an R40 standard for frame walls, which is way above standards.
So cool. So that's really good for an Arctic climate where the house is
Well,
located.
really good for any house, but they just don't do it. People cut
Yeah.
corners everywhere. But another feature that I put in that log house, which I've never seen done before, the joinery of all the logs after the house was set were injected with foam, not fiberglass or nothing like a lot of builders don't even. So that creates a lot of air movement, places for critters to live, etc., etc., all negative. And
Yeah.
that way, when you do the chinking and lateral chinking and notch chinking, there is no air movement of cold in or heat out.
That's great. Do you think also, because in the many years we've lived in the house, I have found that the house was always cool in the summer, even when it was 30 and 35 degrees outside, and still warm in the winter. Tell me a bit why is that?
Well, mainly big one the way it was designed for weather and sun. Large overhangs on the roof for the stop the heat in the summertime from reaching the windows is strong. Is that most homes they just can't sleep in the basement like so many people.
Yeah, yeah.
That you don't. And then the slab on grade with no basement, just right in low to the ground like that, really helps.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, last question for you. Tell us a bit about the finishes you use or you have used for this house inside and outside.
Okay, well, let's start with the outside. Being in refinishing and building for 30 some years, getting near 40 years, I found a Canadian finish called Sanson, which is 100% Canadian, not different countries. They were advanced in the field of breathing, breathable finishes, outstanding longevity compared to most, I say, garbage on the market.
Mm.
And I stuck with them. They're on as far north as Tuktoyaktuk and as far south as southern Alberta. So,
And it's because they're breathable and so therefore the logs don't decay. Is that
well,
what it
being
is?
breathable lets the natural breathing
Mm.
of logs better. They don't turn black because of
Mm.
having cheap oils in there. They've got their own formula. It's working, or I wouldn't be using it anymore. I've had a lot of uh, on Restore a lot of different finishes I've seen on homes that I have to remove and put another type on, which is Sanson.
No, no, that's great. Thank you very much, John. And
And interior finishes,
oh
may I
yes.
add that? I started using interior finishes on wood that was totally one of the first in the world to have no off gassing or chemicals. which I end up ordering from Sweden to Canada to put in homes. And some of them over 30 years from now, the walls are exactly the same way as I applied. As long as people quit using spray cleaners like you see on TV all the time, spray, 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 and ruin, don't matter what you got, you're going to destroy it. So just damp cloth, boom, you're done.
That's great.
That's it. Finished.
That's great. And the other thing that I noticed was when we are cleaning the log walls and wash them down with water, how smooth the surfaces is. So great finishing, sanding and finishing to very smooth surfaces.
Well, that's a lot of people I've been in their house have never cleaned their walls.
Yeah.
They're scared to because it's rough. The people that build it don't do fine finishing of wood. They just, there's the logs, there's your log house.
Yeah.
And it is really, really terrible to see a house that's beautiful home, but the logs look like not too good.
Well, great to hear all the information about our log house from a more technical perspective, John. And thank you, merci und auf Wiedersehen.